All right, we are live and on the air. You're joining us in the midst of a minor catastrophe. Nothing bad is happening, except that we can't get our sound to separate enough that we have no echo. So that's going to be starting here soon. And I'm going to go ahead and try to share the link with people so that they can come watch us. And I'll let Jeremy and Ryan take over from there here once Ryan steps out of the darkness that he's just entered.
The problem seems to be that no matter where people go, I show up on their mic.
You are fine now, though. You sound great.
I've often said that Ryan is the cause of most of my problems, so I needed him to go away, and now it's better. So, during the midst of my sound stuff here, I missed the introduction for the gentleman in the North Face jacket.
I'm Rob.
Rob, what's going on, man?
Not too much. How are you?
All right.
You're Jeremy?
I am Jeremy, yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man.
That's what I hear, yeah.
All right. Rob is a good friend, and I would call him my alpha beta reader. You're my alpha beta. If I'm not sure, basically everything that I write goes through him at one point or another, and he makes it better, or he lets me know that I should just give up, and it's very valuable.
And I feel like I know Nimit really well, because I edited the video for Jay's Kickstarter, but Nimit, we've actually not ever officially met.
So you know all my mannerisms. You could
it's
talented Mr. Ripley me if you needed to.
I do not know Nimit very well, but I think he probably hates us after sitting on this for about an hour worth of us doing tech problems.
That's what I get for being on time, guys. That's what I get.
I understand now. Now I get it.
He'll never be on time for another project, Jay.
Never.
And this is going to be your...
the one and only.
We did that once, and it did not work out well.
No, it's what I get for my years of being a flagrant asshole about time.
I said butt earlier and got yelled at.
Oh, apologies.
It wasn't the butt, but yeah, fair enough. I'm distracted from my yelling duties. I'm sorry.
I'm just playing.
Censorship, guys. Come on, get me in my place.
We'll put you there. Don't worry. So I'm gonna go ahead. We're still. Ryan, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Ryan. Why don't you drive for a little bit here if you're ready?
Oh, sure. I'm in the sweat closet, but we're here. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. All right, cool.
The audio is good, and we are live, buddy.
Oh, my goodness. Well, welcome to all. I am very proud to be hosting somewhat this event, at least 3 parts of it. So I host a podcast called The Bystanders. We talk about mostly comic book related stuff, sometimes comic book TV, comic book movies, but mostly the books. We really appreciate good writing and good art, and we happen to run into, by pure luck, a really incredible artist and a really, really great writer that we really like. And so we are here basically because we are both fans and want to support, but we also kind of want to cover the ins and outs, how you guys are doing what you're doing. So yes, I think we should probably go around and introduce ourselves. I am Ryan, and Jeremy, also from the Bystanders.
I'm Jeremy Collinsworth, also from the Bystanders. Hello, everybody.
And then Jay, you are in the man in charge. So
I'm the man in charge. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes. With little further ado, yeah. My name is Jay Swanson. I'm the author of Into the Nanten and the very, very thankful one of the parties to the Kickstarter that was so successful. And Jessica actually is joining us. She's one of our backers, and it was one part of her perk that she could come and be here with us. So we're really, really grateful to have her. And I can let her introduce herself, but I'm just really excited to have her with us.
Thank you. So I'm Jessica. At the time of the Kickstarter, I had just gone promotion, so I had a little extra money to burn. So I looked at it, started reading through the entirety of it, and I thought, well, you know, it would be really freaking cool to have a reproduction of all these posts. Yeah.
That's
a great
awesome.
reason.
Awesome.
We're very grateful that you thought that.
So, Jessica, did you come across it just while you were on Kickstarter?
Which one was it? It was the Game of Thrones art book. Had a plug for this. So that's how I came across it.
Very cool.
Nice.
So who else is here?
Me, I'm Dennis Kleinman. I'm the narrator of the audiobook.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That sounds
Voice. Good
like the
voice.
perfect voice.
Well, we're just getting started, and we're trying to find a voice for the characters. I think we're getting there pretty quickly, and I'm excited to be involved.
We're really excited to have you on board.
Thank you very much.
Very
That'll
much
be
so.
a fun project to work together on.
And Dennis
I
is
try
already
to
actually-
consume.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I try to consume a lot of media while I'm in the car, and it's definitely going to be safer to enjoy this in the audio form than trying to read it. So thank you, Dennis. You might save my life.
I certainly hope I will.
One life saved. Yes, Dennis has already actually put in a lot of really hard work. We just got started. He's already been very quick and responsive to feedback, and I'm really excited to share that with you. And he's agreed to actually share a little bit with us a little bit later on to read a little bit, so you can get to hear him reading as Marcellus. So that should be really fun.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And then we also have the talented artist you work with, Nimit. How you doing, buddy?
Hey man, how's it going? For all those watching, it's Nimit Malavia. I'm the illustrator behind the series, I guess we'll call it. Yeah.
And Marcellus is his abilities with a pen.
Yeah, it's very authentic drawings in the jungle.
Very resourceful artist.
Somehow we found gouache and color burn filters in Photoshop while he's in the jungle.
He's doing a good job.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, he has that Twitter feed going for him too, which I can't even get from work. So, hey man, he clearly knows his tech. It made my life kind of hard, Nimit, trying to pick my prints for the Kickstarter rewards, going through and with so many awesome pieces to choose from. It was difficult.
I'm glad to hear that.
And then I am Rob, and I am a casual writer myself, and then also in this capacity, I am the alpha beta reader for a lot of Mr. Swanson's work, and the first line of, like, what are you doing here? Or, like, tough love when it needs to be. I feel like that's it in a nutshell. Lots of tough love.
Lots of tough love. But it's invaluable. Like, I can't. If I didn't have Rob Culp in my life, I wouldn't be good. Wouldn't be good for any of us. It would be really bad.
Rob, does he make you call him Mr. Swanson? Because that's how he requested to be referred to by us as well.
I call him far worse things when I'm not on video.
We are keeping this PG, so.
Yeah, it's good. Just got to watch yourself there.
So, Jay, you want to talk to us a little bit about Season 1, kind of what was going on, what led you up to the Kickstarter, and how that came about?
Sure, I can try to be. Oh, I got to make sure that I silence this. I'm trying to look up something. Season 1 was. Well, what do you want to know? I guess lead me into that a little bit. What is it that you want to know?
Sure. Well, that was kind of a broad question. I think that one of the things that we had talked about before when we did the podcast on the Bystanders was some of your inspiration for this. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? I thought that was really cool with.
Well, he just dropped off the call, but I have a feeling that I know
We can get there.
where he was going with that. As far as the inspirations and so forth go, I guess there are a number of them, but what really it was kind of the perfect combination of asking some practical questions, answering those, and then it was just the right story at the right time. So I've always wondered, like, how do you build an audience and how do you stand out in a crowd as loaded as the fantasy community really can be? and serialized content is something that I've been playing around with for a long time. So like direct inspirations for that, the form of it would definitely go back to like Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton, just the first person account, and then the I guess the big one that kind of solidified it all for me was with Tim Butcher's Blood River, and he was talking about his trip into the Congo and to recreate Stanley's adventure, Stanley's discovery of the river, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. But this is perfect. Like I'll write a journal of a character that does something equally stupid and suicidal. But I don't think it's good that if he's just doing that for his own pleasure, it would make more sense if he had to do it. So he was exiled at that point. So yeah, those are some major inspirations. But then from my personal life as well, living in Africa for a number of years, and the Congo in particular stands as a regular source of inspiration, whether or not, just depending on how that fits in, but the DRC especially, yeah.
Is Jeremy coming back? I think he is.
I hope so. Go for it, Ryan. Though, do you have some direction? I feel like I rambled there.
So whenever I write, and it's not as frequent as it should be because I'm podcasting so much, but whenever I write, I try to kind of mold characters a little bit based on something in real life. For you, do you use some of your own personal experience to shape your characters? Do you have like a character arc based on anything that your friends or your family or you have gone through?
I think Nimit has actually has a nice little anecdote. Who you should tell. There's at least one character that you've based off somebody that you've drawn.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's actually happened quite a few times where it's just like sort of subconscious, where I'll be. Oh, did we lose connection?
No, you're still here.
Cool. You're still going. You're good.
Where I don't know, I'll just be drawing, or sort of Jay would give me sort of the broad strokes of a character, because as I'm drawing these people, he's like, oh, this guy's popping up. I'm like, how important is this guy doing to draw him out? And he'll give me broad strokes of what it is. So like say in the case of Dionys, I was reading it, he described the character, and just as I was drawing it and wound up finishing the character and everything, it turns out that he wound up looking like a really close friend of mine, like down to like the beard and everything, and I showed him like, oh cool, like that just happened to be you. So sort of an unconscious thing in that way. And even in the case of another one where I just started drawing the character, and then turns out it looked exactly like another friend of mine, and then I showed it to them, they're like, whoa, this is cool, and it's kind of eerie. I'm like, yeah, I hope it's not too weird. And they're like, no, it's fine, it's kind of flattering. I'm like, all right. But I guess it's sort of...
What are friends for, right?
Yeah, exactly. Subconscious reference, or unconscious reference. Yeah, I mean, it's that sort of thing where I guess things that sort of feel a certain way will sort of like draw closer and closer. So especially with the characters or whatever was going on, I was like, okay, this fits, so let's go with that.
You also drew Beyonce once.
Oh yeah, well, I mean... When you think the crazy
How can you not?
African water goddess, well.
Said that
if I could draw, I would draw Beyonce all the time.
Originally, it was a picture of me that was the African water goddess, and then they went with something more like Beyonce.
Well, I mean, the resemblance is uncanny, is it not?
It's true. Rob's actually been slated for a number of positions.
That's true.
He just doesn't quite fit most of the roles so far.
The character of the fire snake was actually based on me.
It's true. If he fights, you're screwed. You are dead. It's not going to go well. I mean, to answer, like, for myself, I know a number of the... honestly, a lot of it's introspective. A lot of it's... I've said this. I think I said this when we were talking last time, and I don't know if I should be this honest about it, but so much of Marcellus's character arc is like kind of a reflection of my own overcoming my own blindness and like self-righteousness and arrogance, just by being confronted with things that are completely outside of my world. And so much of his is that way. I think that like character arcs like Slad Bolton and Starlark in particular, they I hope I don't know anybody that's gone through quite anything like either of those two, but yeah, I mean, it's been it's been a lot of it. Honestly, is me, which is what also makes it kind of terrifying because there's a lot of vulnerability. Hey, I know that little bug.
Yeah, this is Eleanor. Eleanor, can you wave? She's waving. She's going to her bed. Yeah.
She's
Bye.
adorable.
Good night. Time to go.
Rob's also a fantastic dad. That's something that needs to go on his resume as well.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, should list that there.
So Nimit, why don't you tell me a little bit about, because we talked about this a little bit, but why don't you tell me a little bit about your experience with the Kickstarter, like the whole process of it. How did you come away from that?
Sure. I mean, like, of the two of us, I feel I was sort of the one with a more conservative, pragmatic outlook, wanting to like make sure we had all of our bases like really, really covered to the point where you're like, no, but the building is going to collapse. How do we plan for that? And so we just kind of went into that with looking at like sort of at all the different avenues and trying to see as we were going. Like Jay was amazing with the planning, and so that sort of reassured me a lot of the way, but it's still like, you want to try and poke as many holes in before, and then so you can sort of shore up that stuff as we get along. But then basically once we got started, it was kind of a really strong reaction right off the get, which was amazing to see. And then like, Jay, you did such a great job like building connections and communities and sort of spreading the word within all that, so making me aware. It's like, oh, cool, check this thing out, make sure you plug this or this and this. So it made it easier having like little steps to take rather than just diving into the ether. Hey, we've got this thing going. But I don't know, we got a pretty strong response right off the get, and then as we were going, it sort of in like leaps and hurdles or whatever.
Jay, I remember you saying that the Kickstarter got off to a really strong start from the get-go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys surprised with the level of support that you had? Because even with social media and stuff, it can sometimes be hard to track like who's really following and how big of a base you have.
Yeah.
How did it go when that first started? I'm sure it was very nerve-wracking. Were you happy with the big jump, or Rob is laughing. He knows that it was nerve-wracking for you.
Rob was very aware of how nerve-wracking it was.
I was getting a lot of late-night texts and like, yeah, it's true. Not panic, but apprehension at the very least.
There were moments.
For us, you spun that really nicely.
Rob made a beautiful. I mean, the video that Rob made has actually earned us a lot of praise. Just directly, people have approached us and said, "Wow, you did such a good job with that video. Like, it's so professional." I had a number of people who are like Kickstarter fanatics who were very much like, "That's the best Kickstarter video that I think I've ever seen." And as much as I would love to take all the credit for it with my dashing good looks and charm, it really was all Rob, because without Rob, like we tried a couple different ways of doing it, and Rob saw our best effort, and he was like, "Nope, we're redoing this." And literally, he was like, "Nope, not even helping you with this one. We're just gonna go redo it."
Jay brought it over to edit. He was like, "Will you help me edit?" And we sat down. I was like, "Jay, how do you feel about reshooting?" And just because, like, I think what Jay brings a lot of passion and excitement to this project and to fantasy writing, and like he really cares about. About giving back to the community and the fact that this is free and accessible to everyone and always will be, and those kinds of things. Like you want to be able to get a sense of that from a Kickstarter project, and I feel like that is that's what you can get from like talking in a conversation with him just like right now or through the video, or I feel like if you interact with him for long enough, you get the sense that he's obviously very passionate about this project and about writing in general. So
the camera that interacted with me before that did not interact with me long enough. Although Nimit would definitely disagree with that, because we pretty much starved ourselves trying to film that first video.
Oh, we got some great food afterwards, so it's fine.
We did get some fantastic Indian food down the street, and so it all worked out. But yeah, that was kind of brutal. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I was, you know what? Like, I was not as surprised at the beginning, because we did a good job of, I felt like a good job of getting out there and pushing and really approaching the people that we knew were going to support us. And like, I had a little party here in Springfield with my coworkers. They were all really excited, and so there was like the sense of momentum from the beginning that felt really good. Where I was actually most surprised, pleasantly. I was hanging out in Cape Town, South Africa, actually, during all of it. Don't ever travel internationally during a Kickstarter. It's a terrible idea. If I've learned anything, stay at home, because it's hard to do anything from airplanes or the top of a mountain. And so I don't know. We were hanging out, and we went back to our hotel before we went out for dinner or something. And I just looked, and somebody had backed us at the $650 level, and I was just like, holy cow, that's amazing. And then within an hour, Jessica was one of these two people who jumped in, and so within an hour, because we'd been on this this slow, steady climb that I was like, I feel okay about this, but then all of a sudden it just like kaboom, like we just jumped by $1,300 in an hour, and that kickstarted the last third where we just cruised from there, and that was the most exciting. And oh man, I was jumping around and yelling all sorts of obscenities in my room out of joy, and one of my friends was not happy about it. And texting Rob like, can you believe this? Like, look at this going on. So it was really good.
Rob, you talked about Jay's passion, and when I met him, that was something that came through in a big way. It's something that's coming through in this interview right now. It was infectious. Fantasy has not always been my thing, and I even addressed that with him when we were talking, and I thought, oh man, I hope this isn't offensive. I didn't want him to get mad, but he got what I was saying, and he kind of addressed it, and by the end, I was just on cloud 9 for this project, and I really love the idea of the way it's being released from a first-person narrative, and later you get a third-person narrative. So as a creative project, it interested me. But even bringing me into a world that isn't always in my wheelhouse, I just was ecstatic about it. I told Ryan and some of the other guys that are on our podcast, like, we got to have him on. We got to talk about this. It's not totally comic related, but he has a comic book artist that does some of his illustrations, so that counts, right? And I imagine, Jessica, that passion was something that you saw in the Kickstarter, right?
Definitely.
Is there anything in particular?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. What was it anything in specific where you made the decision, yeah, this is something that I'm going to give my new promotion money to?
Let's see. I really like the art. That was definitely one of the biggest pulls for me.
Yeah.
I really like the format too, how only like a little bit's being revealed at a time. I'm trying to find, like new ways to spend money, get more on like experiences and stuff, and if that could mean like helping fund a dream, I would totally like give any money for that.
Aw.
You're definitely helping to fund a dream, so thank you so much.
My family and I are wanting to go to Disney World. It's something we've been thinking about for a long time. So if you get any other promotions, I'm just saying, let us know. And
photos will be amazing. Don't worry.
I'll totally invite you to a Google Hangout if you do it. So Nimit, she mentioned the art. Every single person, and I got a bunch of Jay's cards. Every person that I handed them out to was freaking out just about the little bit of a picture that was on it, and I kept trying to send them to the Kickstarter and the website. It's spectacular, man. Can you talk a little bit about the process behind the art and what your inspiration was for it going in? Had you worked on anything in fantasy before, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if many people know, but I actually illustrated the cover for Jay's third novel, and that's how we met, and that's how we sort of got going on this whole thing. I've been a lover of fantasy for a little while now. I mean, those are sort of the stories I've been intrigued by, and like in the last, I don't know, little couple of years, I've really taken to like audiobooks and reading a lot of and getting involved in a lot of longer series whenever I can. But yeah, like making the artwork for this story was pretty cool. It was like a good turn of fortune where Jay was like, hey, I like your sketchbook work, and I've got this story. Like, what are your thoughts on producing something that's kind of within that realm? And you rarely get commissioned to just do like stuff that you would do in your sketchbook as like the final product. Like, obviously, it's a little more involved than just what I would like the musings and meanderings and all that crap in the sketchbook. So, but yeah, no, it is like I think part of what it is that the story travels in so many different directions, and like there's a lot of things to touch on. Like you start in the jungle, so obviously you have like a kind of look there. But as we sort of progress with these characters, like I can just explore what he's feeling because it's a first-person point of view. So rather than be like, oh, you know, I collected these things, or this is this landmark, or we saw this thing going on, I can do things that are related to his memory because Jay will write the character that way. Or I can just sort of be like, no, you know, if I was going through this thing, if I was carrying this journal, I would want to illustrate this. I'd want to put this on paper, sort of deal.
Yeah.
So it's like he's basically given a lot. Like I mentioned this in the Kickstarter thing, what you see, or Rob probably saw a lot of that. Where it's just like a lot of freedom to interpret the material how I want. Like we got to a point where we're able to. Jay can give me like a box of what he'd ideally like, and then I'll work within and sort of that box in terms of creating the entries. And I think we struck like a really
box is what he's trying to say.
we struck a pretty enjoyable balance between the two, at least on my part. Sorry, Jay, we didn't.
No, it's great. I was just joking because you were like, I like to work within the box and outside the box.
And just dismiss the box, and I'll just draw whatever I want. And oh, cool, flowers.
The box isn't really. Yeah, exactly. Shoes.
Well, you know, the Bystanders show is a comic book show, and obviously we have a great passion for the relationship between an artist and a writer as storytellers, and you guys experience that, you know, in a different way, but it's the same thing. You have two very different perspectives within the mind of one character, and it seems like you found the right balance because it's just perfectly meshed. When I see the pictures, it seems like they're drawn by the voice that I'm reading.
That's a tremendous compliment. Thanks.
Jay, how is that for you? This is your first time kind of working in a storytelling process with an artist, right?
Yeah, no, it's been really, really good. Nimit is obviously unbelievably good. Like it's yeah, no, it's fine. I like if you were present when I opened my Dropbox every Monday, you know. And there's like 3 new images in it. And a lot of times it happens on my phone, unfortunately. But if I'm lucky, it's on my computer. Because I can't wait. If I see 3 new images, you know, 3 new entries in I'm not going to wait. There's no way I'm going to be like, oh, I'll save that. No, there's no delayed gratification whatsoever. So I just immediately open it. And I squeal. Like, I'm like, I mean, there have only been a couple of occasions where I've had to send one back and be like, no, this one's not going to work. But for the most, like, it's like a fraction of a percent basically, because like oh my gosh, like a lot of times I just open it, and if I don't squeal, it's because I'm just like, wow, like how did I don't even know how that happened, but now I need to go like lie down because I've got so much joy coursing through me that I'm gonna pass out. I think
this made me so happy I need a nap.
No, it's the same kind of like admiration that goes the other way, because when Jay came to visit here and we recorded a lot of the stuff or the footage for the Kickstarter, we sat down and I'm like, Jay, man, so like what's like, and he gave me like this whole worldview history of this plus some other books that he's written and everything else, and I'll stop there because there's some spoiler stuff, but anyways, like when he was basically listing off this crazy timeline for all this stuff and where things fall and how things connect, and it was all like succinct and like he had all the details ready. I was like, how do you keep track of all this in your mind?
He's a crazy person. He's a crazy person.
Yeah.
Let's put that out there.
Yeah. So, Dennis, now you get to be another dimension to the storytelling process. You're bringing a voice to this wonderful writing, this wonderful art. What are you thinking as you're going through this?
Well, firstly, you know, I'm just getting into it, and so far it's very interesting. It's fascinating. I think that you know, I mean, that's what I love doing, is bringing sort of an audio element to a story. I'm starting to understand Marcellus a little bit, getting familiar with his character, and I think you know, as we get into the book and do a lot more work, I think he's going to flow very well. I've got a real feel for him. I think he's you know, strikes me as being a very strong individual, but you know, obviously he's dealing with things that are out of his control, and he's trying his best way to manage them. That's what I'm getting from it so far, and I think It's fun. It's always interesting, as you know, when you start a book and you get into it, how the character starts to evolve and the emotions start to change. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on.
Excellent.
I'm so excited to have you on this project. Like, it's great. I was looking through a whole bunch of different, like, there's their websites and their profiles, and I'm just listening to voices, and I got some auditions in, and I was like, meh. And then I heard Dennis's voice, and I was like, yes. It's perfect. I don't know. And he's been, like I said, again, just to sing your praises, because I know we've only been working together for a short while so far, but you've been so responsive and so on the ball, and so quick to you're working so hard at it already, and each iteration, because you've already re-recorded the same things 3 times just to get a better feel for it, and each time has been a jump forward that I enjoy it so much, just getting to hear it and to see it. And it's humbling and at the same time, so thank you so much for joining us.
So Dennis, I have a question for you if I can. Is it different to record something to do the audiobook for a story that is kind of it's a journal based as compared to like a traditional narrative? Is that different for you?
Yes, it's very different. Well, think of it this way. When you're doing a regular audiobook, you're basically describing the events of a story, and you're bringing the characters in at various places in the novel. When you're doing something like this, you are the character all the time. So you have to be very aware of the fact that you're going through an emotional response as the character, and so that's why with what's going on, and as I said, I'm just starting. So my whole character is going to evolve on an emotional level, different from what I'm doing today compared to what it'll be like, a few weeks down the road. So, yeah, it is different. I've done a couple of other books told in the first person, so it's a similar kind of genre, if you will. But it's exciting because, you're not just reading a story; you are playing that part, 24/7 as you're doing the work. So it is interesting. Just a little background on me, if you guys are interested.
Absolutely.
You mentioned you were in Cape Town, which is actually where I grew up. So I'm originally from South Africa, and
beautiful city.
Yeah, one of the most beautiful in the world, I think. I've lived in the States for a long, long time, over 30 years. But my voice, my accent, for some reason, it seems to be somewhere middle of the road. It's not typically South African. It's not completely British. And so, therefore, I found sort of my whole involvement with voiceover to be offering an international sound, if you will. That's why I call my website is aworldvoice.com. And so that's how I market myself, because I'm a world voice. I don't, I can be more British if I need to be. I can be a lot of different things if I need to be, but the voice somehow finds its way into a very neutral zone, which is not often that common. So I do a lot of work for some big corporations that want that indistinguishable accent. They don't know where it's from. So that's, in a sense, what I call my signature. And as you heard when I did Tosh, he was much more British and rougher.
You guys, you gotta. So the 4th entry of the journal is actually like a long quoted story. A lot of it from a crazy ferryman who.
I really enjoyed that part, actually.
I guess you're a filthy dog, right?
Yeah, it does sound like a filthy dog. It's great. So I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of it. I just can't wait to hear how it evolves, like you were talking about. And I think what's going to be really, what I'm the most excited about, is that you're going to get to the end of the 1st season, and then when we release the 2nd season, every entry that we release is going to have its podcast to go with it. It's going to have your voice if people want to listen to it. And so we're going to be going from a real-time blog to a real-time blog and a real-time podcast. God help me, my stress levels are going to be through the roof. But it's going to be great, and I can't wait to see how you, like you're saying, you develop the character and evolve into that even more, because by the time we get to the 2nd season, I think we're not going to be able to exist without you in a way, and I think it's going to be really fun.
That'll be great. I'll tell you something very interesting as well that I think you guys all get a kick out of. Growing up in South Africa, we didn't get television until the mid-'70s.
Yeah.
And so I grew up my whole life. Radio theater was very, very important for me. And as you mentioned, Jay, serializing in a podcast format is in a sense like almost turning the clock back to the old radio theater, where people would sit and they'd listen to something, and next week they'd turn on the radio like we watch television. Today they would do that with radio, and so I think it's almost like a throwback to days of old, if you will. So I think there's something very cool about that.
Yeah, especially this story, I find, because like you have so many different ways to consume it. You can just read it, and you have the audio version, and so it's all like theater of the mind in a certain way. And then there's like the little visual components that give like texture to that if you want, without being so like overt and say like a comic book or something like that.
Right. So yeah.
Well, we talked about.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just was going to say we talked about the interactive nature of this and how many different ways fans could immerse themselves into this story. And Jay, I think from that said, that's not enough. And then he added this audio component, and it's just blowing my mind. I wanted to hear your voice so bad. We had these tech problems when we first started, and you were completely broken. I was like, I need to hear the voice of Marcellus. And then when I did, I was like, yep, that's it.
What do you think, Rob? Did you pass?
Oh, absolutely. I was thinking about audio work that I could send him.
Next time I have a job interview over the phone, we're going to do a Cyrano kind of a thing where I'm just going to feed you lines and you can interview for me.
Oh, I'll do the ADR, huh?
And then when I show up, I'll just say, well, I sound different over the phone.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to just comment on is, Jay, between you and I, we've already established, I think, an understanding and a cooperation in how this works. For all of you guys, I just redid the first 4 entries because I started off, and you've got to sort of find your foot a little bit. I did, and then we realized it needed to really sort of raise up in the emotional side of the story, and so I've done that. And then Jay came back to me with just a couple of slight directive things about the ending of 1 or 2 of these things. So what I do, just for all of your knowledge, is I'll do this, and then I'll look to you, Jay, to basically give me your feedback. You know this character, in your sleep, basically. So, you're also anticipating a little bit of what you want to hear. So if it doesn't match that, then what I do is I get some feedback from Jay, and he says, look, I'd like a little bit more energy here. I'd like something a little bit less energy there, whatever it might be. And then I go back in my editing process, I'll re-record a few lines here and there, color it the way we need to, and then we'll put that entry to bed and then move on to the next one. So, I'll most probably do a bunch of them and then get a list of little points here and there that might need to be tweaked. So that's the exciting part. And I'm, just so that you all know, this is how I love to work, is I never take it as a sense of criticism. It's all very constructive for me. And it's direction. I do very well with direction. I love direction because then I'm not only using my own ideas, I'm really trying to mirror the ideas of those hearing it. So the directive process for me is priceless, to be honest with you.
I'm glad. That was exactly what I was going to ask about, was to just see if that was another hat you were wearing, was as a director now, and how the input went back and forth. So thank you for that, Dennis. How is that for you, Jay? This is a whole new creative process for you.
Yeah, it's really good, and that's a large part. I don't know why I'm even letting this thing stick in my face anymore. It's not. This is not what I'm talking into.
I believe you said, quote, "It looks cool."
Yeah, I know, but it's not. And it's kind of, it's better than the boxes in the corner. So I guess I'll just go ahead. Sorry, Ryan. Well, we also have the puppy calendar, just in case anybody. I lost it. No, too bad. Oh, here it is. So, anyways,
this is my puppy calendar.
Puppy calendars. I'm not dissing on it, man. It's great. The only problem is that we couldn't see the puppy. All we saw was this earlier. So now we've officially established the existence of the puppy calendar. I'm already really thoroughly impressed with Dennis just on his work ethic, like he was talking about. Like, he takes it so seriously. He does take criticism really well. That's one of the things that I've learned over the last 5 years, especially, is how to really try to give strictly constructive criticism to any artists that I work with of any shade. Hopefully Nimit can speak to how well I do that or not. He might be able to give you some fair warnings, Dennis. I guess we'll find out. But at this point, I'm really, really impressed because he has gone back, like I said, and re-recorded parts, re-recorded entire sequences, and he's really working hard to make sure he gets it just right. And I don't want to abuse that by any means, but I definitely appreciate it so much. So far it's been a fantastic experience, and I'm really, really looking forward to how things turn out.
Cool.
That is awesome.
So, while we're talking about the narration, is there any way we can get Dennis to narrate an entry for us?
Sure.
Would that be a possibility?
Yeah, I thought what I'd just do is just read the first entry so that you can sort of get a sense of how it's going to come through.
Oh, great.
Very cool.
Okay, all right, here we go. Bryn Salliser, a name that has haunted me all my life. Just over 2 decades have passed since Bryn Salliser made my days a waking hell. 7 years we are called to train to earn our right. 7 brutal years where everything is stripped away from us, cleansed by pain and discipline. The first 2 years of that torment was increased tenfold by Salliser. He beat us, unlike any other of our instructors. Salliser would reward failure with physical harm. I carry 2 of the scars to this day. Then Salliser was exiled to the Nanten. It was the worst fate he could have received, and the greatest relief of my young life. I won't lie to you. Hearing that Salliser was being sent to his death made me happy, truly happy. Rumors circulated that some David prince had claimed the Nanten kingdom, a country as large as any 2 provinces in the old empire. No one had confirmed this. Salliser was expected to do just that, and to kill this prince should Salliser find him. It was a death sentence. No Imperial went to the Nanten any longer. They hadn't for nearly a century. The few who did never returned. The tales fed to the world by traders on its fringe only inspired horror stories that cemented the world's distance. That hasn't changed in the last 20 years. 20 years ago, Salliser disappeared. 20 years have passed since he was sent on a mission that would only ever be given to someone in disgrace, someone the Tetrarch would rather see dead than in its service. And now I am to follow in his footsteps. To my death, I am sent to find him. This is my punishment. But if nowhere else, I may plead my own case in ink, even as I approach a certain death. I hope against all odds to explain these things to you in person one day. I won't hold it against you if you have turned your back on me as all others have. But if I'm never to see you again, I hope that these words find you. I hope that as I fill out this journal, you discover that I died as honorably as I once lived. Already 3 months have passed since my exile began. 3 of the most difficult months of my war-scarred life. Now that my companions have joined me, I may truly begin. Tomorrow we must find a way to cross the Blight Sea. If we cannot, all this will be for naught. It is our path into the jungle of the Nanten. Tomorrow I begin my journey in earnest, to discover what happened on Salliser's final mission, and perhaps to finish what he started. If I am lucky, I may survive long enough to deliver this journal to you myself.
I got goosebumps.
Well done.
Oh, man.
I literally got goosebumps.
Oh, man, that was great. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love it. I'm glad I'm not the only one that's heard it now because we can share the joy.
Now you can nerd out with other people about it.
Yeah, nerding out. I love nerding out.
Oh, man, that was spectacular.
Dennis, that's amazing.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Jay, that's
Well,
such a
you can-
good start to the story.
Thank you.
I mean, just reading it, I thought that it hooks you so fast, and then to hear it like that, I cannot wait to share this with people.
Great. No, I'm glad. And he's isn't he perfect for it? I mean, like,
it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was digging, and I was like, and then I found him, and I was like, I hope he responds to his email.
Well, I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And one of the things that I'd like to do is, whenever you want like a sound clip, if you want, I can put it up on SoundCloud and we can tweet it out and broadcast it out, Facebook it out, whatever you need to do. It's a nice way to start getting people engaged in some of the passages of the story.
Absolutely. No, we're really, really excited for this. I am, at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good. Me too. Me too.
Great.
So I'm glad you guys like the sound and the read and the emotion and everything. And remember, this is the beginning. It's going to get even better and better. Hopefully.
Dennis gets stressed out, just.
I'll tell you what I'll do if you like, Jay, is I'll just do a little bit of Tarsh if everyone wants to hear.
Would you guys like to hear some Tarsh?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds good to me.
All right, I'll do a little bit of Tarsh. This has never heard before. The Blight Sea, he said during one of his more lucid moments, had not always been so large, nor had it always been devoid of life. I thought it worth noting. Once, he said, there was a tribe that lived near the center of where this sea now sits. A poor tribe, dying of thirst in the grasslands that once bordered the Nanten and rested between the two great mountain ranges. Well, they prayed, and as things got desperate, Inferi heard their pleas. Inferi is the name of the local water goddess, he told us. Some variation on the dread gods of old, but one that he claimed is very much alive today. She told the chief of this tribe, I will give you my water, precious as it is in dry places, but you must never tell anyone of its whereabouts. Keep it a safe secret amongst only yourselves.
Oh, wow.
That is awesome.
Bravo.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
That's so good. Well, while we're milking you for your amazing voice, I'm going to transition us right into, because I asked you, would you be open to reading the open lines to Vanagon the Worm? Do you have that in front of you?
I don't actually, no. Which was that? I'm sorry.
I sent it to you an email here. Let me send it to you really quick. I'll explain as I send it. Basically, Jeremy, this is something that you were interested in, and maybe you can actually kind of pitch it as you understand it, that I'm writing a book that's going to tie into the Nanten.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So one of the things that I really liked when we first met was you were telling me about how you were writing this journal entry, but that was a sort of prelude to the novel that you're writing. Am I explaining that correctly?
Yeah, kind of. So basically, well, it's more that the novel itself ties in. Dennis, I just sent it to you. Okay. And what it is that Into the Nanten is kind of a standalone on its own, but I wanted to give people something else to read and that would inform them into the story, that'd be entertaining on its own, that would just kind of tie in and flesh the world out a little bit more from someone else's perspective than just Marcellus, because let's be honest, he can be kind of moody. And so I started, the backstory to this is basically I was wanting to write Salasir's story, like his entire history, like from when he was a kid to the point that, to the ending point of that book, I guess. So not want to give any spoilers, but that was going to be way too much to get done in time for the second season. So what I did instead, I was reading, and I need to look up her name. I meant to look up, make sure that I had it. I don't want to say it wrong. But there's a literary agent out there who's now no longer impressed with me whatsoever, who was writing about how she felt farmers were misunderstood and miswritten in fantasy across the board. And during this blog post that she was writing about it, she was like, I don't know how you would tell an interesting story about somebody staying on the farm. I know that they have to leave, but I'm imagining something like a medieval Tremors. And I was like, oh, that I must write. So I jumped immediately on that idea, stole it directly from her, and I will give her credit later, I promise, and started writing this story. And so it's called Vanagon the Worm right now. And I'm about 8 chapters deep into it. I'm hoping to have it finished in time to release it probably in October, so that you'll get there's a special guest that shows up in the middle of all that chaos, and you'll get to know him a little bit better through that chaos. So anyways, I sent Dennis the opening few lines to the book,
Sure.
before chapter 1, and since he's got the most beautiful voice out of all of us, no offense, Jessica, he's going to go ahead and Rob, you're not even in contention. Jessica's a very close second. We're going to go ahead and let him open that book for us and see what it sounds like.
Okay, great. This is a cold read, by the way.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah. Miles from her father's farm, Tolly Hollins hugged her knees against the growing chill of night. The pile of stones upon which she sat made it even harder to stay warm, but she dared not leave them. For the first time in hours, the ground around her was still and silent. They had chased her here, to this hilltop under the sawtooth silhouette of the High Ridge Mountains. Though surrounded by silence, she feared they were near. Tolly did not move. If she made a sound, she knew she would die, just like everyone else.
Do you want to read that book or no?
Absolutely. No rehearsal needed. Well done.
Yeah.
That was impressive as a cold read goes, my friend.
Wow.
So that's part of season 2. Then is going to be that we're going to do that, and I'm going to try something out as far as reading. So I'll do the audiobooks for those ones. I've wanted to do my older books, but it's just I got to keep moving forward. So what I'm actually going to do is as I read them, I'm going to get back into vlogging as well, and is my hope, and hopefully Google doesn't just cancel my account on me again. And lose all my vlogs, but I'm actually going to video myself reading and release it as both video and an audiobook as we go. So we're going to do that for both Banning and the Worm when it comes out, and before that, Dark Horse, which should be coming out hopefully in the next week or 2.
Great.
Which is really good.
Cool. Very
Oh, man.
So, I mean, not to continue leading myself into a new transition. I'm going to try this screen share dealio. Would you guys like to? So I have new cover art for my 4th book that's ready to roll.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm going
I wanted to ask for it, but I didn't know if you were ready to do it. So.
Yeah, sorry, that's I jumped the gun.
No. I didn't want to. I didn't know when you wanted to do it, but I want to see more Nibbit art. Bring it.
All right, so let's see.
It actually isn't Nibbit art.
It's not.
It's not Nibbit.
I don't care then. I'm just kidding.
Very fair. All right, you guys ready? This is actually done by Marie Bergeron. We asked her to join us, but she was unable to. She's a new artist that I have not worked with before, but I had a great experience with her. She's amazing if you need any artwork done, and Nibbit is too busy. Marie is a fantastic, fantastic artist, and she has a completely different style, and she hit this right off the bat. So without further ado, there it is.
Oh, wow.
That really captures the sense of the story, too.
Nice.
Wow.
That looks very cool.
Man.
There you go.
Jay, you are teaming up with some good artists, buddy. Man.
I only work with the best, my friends.
So let me ask you, when you're going in cold, especially to a new artist, obviously you had worked with Nibbit before, you guys had a relationship going into this. What kind of direction do you give to get this piece out of an artist?
Well, I honestly think that the first step is that you find the artist for their art, not for what you want. And whenever I start, whenever I'm looking for an artist, I have an idea in my head. So I have a very clear idea of what I want, but that never ever comes out exactly the way that I have it in my head, and I know that. So the first thing I do is I just look for an artist who's going to be close. Like they obviously have the skills and a style that lines up well with what I'm looking to have done, and then as long as that's good to start, then I approach them and I say, hey, this is the idea that I have, and I explain it as best I can. Like Nibbit knows, I'll write like a lot of information. I'll give source images. I'll give like kind of just a whole pitch of exactly what I'm thinking, and then we just go through a couple stages. So like this piece is not exactly what I had in my head, but she nailed it, and I trusted her because she's just skilled, and I knew that I'd end up with something that I loved. So there are a bunch of different iterations that we went through, to get to this, but at the same time, it's a trust factor. You have to trust the people you're working with to produce what they're good at, and you have to let go of whatever ideas you have in your head once you give that responsibility over to them. And so far I have yet to be disappointed with anybody that I've worked with, and I think that those kind of guiding principles are what have gotten me there.
Jay, having worked with some creative types and being one myself, you have quite the grip on how to deal with collaboration.
Thanks.
That is, it's hard to hand over the reins to the things you care about the most. So I'm very impressed by that ability. It's something I'm still getting the hang of now. So well done.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Ryan would just draw stick figures on his cover and be like, "I did it."
Yeah, it's enough. We're good. I did it. It's my work. It's my work. Don't touch it.
I think, I don't know, Nimit, you might be able to speak to this because you can fill in that you're half of the relationship since you've worked with me the longest. But I think that ultimately, for me, it comes down to two things. Not only does it come down to trust, but it comes down to clear communication as far as feedback especially goes, and being able to say, I will never, and Nimit can slap me if I ever do this, I will never come back to him or anyone and say, it just isn't quite right. Can you do it again? You know, like it doesn't pop enough, or it's just not, you know, like I will only come back if I know specifically what it is that I don't like and what can be done to fix it. And if I don't, I might throw out something saying, like, something, you know, but I'm not going to hold it over them to get that. And so I think trust and clear communication are huge. And then, you know, regular beatings. I fly to Toronto to make sure that.
Yeah, I think those are what really get these things to the point we want them to.
Well, I know we had to delay the hangout so that his last bruises could heal up.
Yeah, of course. This time we got it right, like all below shoulder level.
Yeah, not the face.
Never the face. Never the face.
So,
that's kind of
before we close the door on this tonight, I know Nimit wanted to show us the T-shirt design for Kickstarter backers.
Ooh.
Sure.
I'm very excited to see that.
I'm not sure how I'd go about doing that on here.
On the left, there's a little green screen with a white arrow, and you can do a screen share, and it'll ask you which window you want to share.
Cool. Let me just pull it up first, and then.
While he's pulling that up, Jay, did you want to say anything about Dark Horse Beyond the Art?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, so it's a short novel. It's an adventure, and honestly, I'm fairly proud of it. I think I've grown beyond it already, but at the same time, I think it's a good, complete story, and it's basically the if I should have the blurb here to read, but the blurb is essentially Chakra. Oh man, let me look it up here. Hold on.
Is this something that you're planning as a standalone story, or will this be turned into a series?
No, it won't be a series. Here, Let me read I've got the blurb here, and then I'll explain a little bit. Chakra must survive the next 2 nights, or Melina will die. Pitted against vicious monsters and lethal puzzles, Chakra is caught in a race against time to gather 7 pieces of magic armor and use them to save the woman he loves. A short novel about the dangers of untended grief. It's a standalone novel that gives you an insight into my world a little bit, and I specifically wrote it to give an insight into one particular aspect of it. So I think it's a really fun adventure story, but it serves a greater purpose within the narrative of my world. So while the story itself stands alone, it will inform you as to certain things about my world that are really, really important.
Gotcha.
Cool. How'd I do, Rob? You gotta let me know.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I think that, well, first of all, so I've read Dark Horse, and I read an older draft of Dark Horse, and I would say that it is, at least at the time, it was the best writing that I have read of Jay's, and just some really great storytelling. And it's fun because it's different than Into the Nanten, and so you're able to kind of see the world in a different light, and I mean, obviously you're in a different part of the world, you're in a different time period in the world, and then just the fact that, like, I love Into the Nanten, I love that it's this new way of telling a story, but I also really like to go step back out of that and have a more traditional story. And then it's still more of like a novella than it is a novel, right? Like it's significantly shorter.
Oh yeah, it's about 44,000. It's just over 40,000 words. So I think it qualifies as a short novel or a novella. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is one thing too. But like I really enjoyed it. I thought it was. I can't say any more because if I'm going to say too much more, I'm going to have spoilers. But
Yeah.
yeah. That's
You mentioned.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it's at a different time period. Jay, how do you distinguish? Is there a big central event that people reference, like 200 years before or 50 years after, or how are you distinguishing the time period?
Honestly, because it's told through the perspective of some kids that live out in a village, they don't really have a good grasp on time, anyways.
Okay.
So explicitly, there isn't one, but implicitly, a major event in the later history of the old empire is occurring. And so later, if you were to look into it, I mean, I can tell you, it happens. It happens like 100 or 150 years after Into the Nanten.
Okay.
And if later, yeah, it happens. You'll be able to put it into the timeline really firmly once you have a better grasp of things. But it really tries to focus in on its time period. Now I'm rambling.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just curious if there was a central event that distinguished that, because when you said it was a different time period, that intrigued me.
Yeah, and so like every story I've written so far has been in a different time period. I think Van Egg and the Worm, if that's the working title at least, and if Van Egg comes out, that'll be the first time that two different works have coincided in their time frames. At least it happens, about 20 or 21 years before Into the Nanten starts. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, I need to check out, unfortunately. I've got to get somewhere in a little while.
Dennis,
Well, thank you for
joining
joining
I
us.
wanted to say to everyone, and hopefully we'll do this again sometime and we can read some more passages.
That sounds great.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you so much.
Lovely talking to you all, and we'll be in touch again soon, all right?
Absolutely.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Nimit, I'm dying. Show me the artwork.
Sure. All right, so this is the T-shirt design for the Kickstarter backers. All right.
I'm excited because I bought this T-shirt.
Would like to share.
I was actually the one who talked Jay into doing a T-shirt. So.
How do we zoom this? Can you guys see the whole thing, or is it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Very cool.
That's cool.
We
How
have.
much more money do you need for me to get that? Because
There's some design stuff on the back, but that'll be better served on the T-shirt itself. But this is sort of the main design, which is the feather that Dionys wears. So I guess it was under the Walker package. Or maybe not, I'm not sure. But in either case, that's sort of where we're channeling.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm just
glad you
tuning
like
back
it,
in.
You're going to be wearing
Dennis
it,
kicked
so.
me out. Is that the T-shirt design?
Yeah, that'll be the T-shirt design.
That's awesome.
Okay, Nimit, we need you to talk for about 20 seconds consistently because we keep jerking the video away from you.
Oh, what's that? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys can click on the thing to see it. But yeah, so here we have the feather that Dionys has pinned to his collar, or not collar, but like
His chest.
his chest, symbolizing that he's pretty great at what he does. He's just in it for the passion and the love. When he was in school, he's like, no, I want to assassinate people with the wind. That's what I want to do. And so we decided to put that on a T-shirt, and yeah, here's the design we went with. Yeah.
We had some.
I was just gonna say that's awesome, and you got to find someone who can make that into a pin, so I can use it for a lapel pin for my suits.
Oh man, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be really
Yes.
cool, actually.
Nice little cufflinks. Hey, what's up?
I actually know some people that might be able to help us out with that.
yes, do that. Do that.
I can't say who they are, but I'm gonna approach them and ask them if they'll help us with that. We had like some different ideas. This isn't a good example actually. Ryan, of trusting your artist to just go ahead and do what he's gonna do, because I gave him like an impossible idea, and it wasn't possible. So he ended up coming up with something amazing on his own because he's amazing. and this is what you get. So, good job.
For sure.
Amazing.
Cool.
Nimit, if I can ask real quick, what is there anything that was just ridiculously crazy that he's requested that you draw? I asked because I just saw a friend of mine who's a tattoo artist who had to post a picture. He tattooed a picture of an eyeball that had the world inside it with a lion inside of that and then a cancer ribbon. And I know him, so I know whenever that came through, he was just like, I won't say because this is PG, but
that seems like get that.
Nimit pulls it out of his sketchbook. I actually have 3 of those right here.
What do you mean? I'm in place. No, I think there wasn't anything really so much that Jay put down that you're like, what am I going to do about this? But a lot of it, you kind of felt like time and place, and sometimes you're like, I don't think I could do this justice at the time. Like, he's painted some pretty insane like battle scenes and things like that. And he's like, yeah, do this. And I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna translate into the sketchbook, but yeah.
It's funny because I do feel like I feel like I give you impossible requests all the time with when I'm giving you feedback on the story. It's like, I really like this, but what if it was completely different? What if they traveled to this place first? Like, yeah.
I can see why he keeps you around, Rob.
Oh no, brutal honesty is a blessing and a curse.
It's mostly blessing on this end, and well, it's true because even so, season 2, without giving any spoilers, I was kind of as I started to, because I put it down and I was working on some other stuff, and as I was trying to get back into Marcellus's shoes, I was kind of taking a direction that I think would have been interesting, but it wasn't quite honest to who he was. And as I explained just the concept to Rob, he was like, well, that sounds dangerous. And he just kind of was like, if you're going to do that, I feel like this would actually be more in line with his character. And I was like, he's totally right. And so I
think my exact phrase was, that's not what Marcellus would do next.
Yep,
it was something along those lines of it doesn't, yep, brutal.
What would Marcellus do? Not that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, it's true, and it's I think that's a really valuable point to this whole thing. Is writing, for me, writing is often a really lonely experience, but it's changing because Rob's been a part of that for a long time, but it's especially something like Into the Nanten. It increases the regularity of our discourse about the story and about writing, whatever, just naturally. Nimit is the same way, and adding Dennis, I think, is going to be really interesting, and just having people to talk to about it, to hear more about it from, and this doesn't happen in a vacuum, is what I'm hoping. I don't want this to happen in a vacuum, and so I'm really, really grateful for all of you. And for our Kickstarter backers that are watching, because we probably should have actually been thanking you every 5 minutes, and we have Jessica here to represent you, thankfully, and we're so grateful for the turnout that came, and for the sheer amount of support that was given. So grateful that you're a part of it, because I don't want to do this alone. I want to share it with everybody, and not that everybody can fill the same roles, but not that everybody has to. I'm really, really excited just to see how it develops, how it grows, and to hear more from you guys as season 2 kicks off. I'm really mildly terrified, but mostly looking forward to it. So it's going to be good.
Jessica, is there anything you in particular are really excited about for season 2, or looking forward to, or curious about?
I was just about.
Oh man, where do you start? Or everything, right? Especially the title, Fall of the Arbor King, right?
Yep.
Oh man, yeah. I don't even know where to start, and then I'm ready for the whole thing.
It's good. We're gonna bring it. What was a favorite? Do you have who was your favorite character? If you have a favorite character.
I really like the whole how it explored the different one say schools of magic, oh my gosh, can't even pronounce his name. The Walker guy.
Dionys?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
Yeah. Definitely the most one of the most interesting parts of it.
Rob loved that part too.
I love Dionys. Dionys is my boy.
Dionys is great. And since you mentioned it too, I'm going to put this up, and I'm going to ask you another. Is there a scene that maybe you didn't see coming, that you were kind of flabbergasted? Not to give any spoilers necessarily. Maybe we can try to avoid that in the verbiage. But was there anything in particular that stands out to you? Or like, either you're like, what? Or you're like, oh yeah, anything like that?
Whole Marcellus's like his ability to time shift. That was definitely like, well, you know, he's been keeping this secret thing a secret for so long, so it's like, well, what is it? And of course, something like time. That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
That is crazy. Hopefully, we need to have we should have had a spoiler sign. Yeah. Great, that's good. No, that's a good one. A lot of people. I got a lot of feedback from that one actually. There was one guy. His name's Ethan. He's a avid reader, and I hope he's watching. I don't know. I've meant to send him a message to make sure that he knew this was going on. But he would send me updates like almost weekly for a while. It was great. He'd be like, I bet he's this. No, wait, he's probably this. And like he would just go into like the most incredible detail, being like, because this and this and this and this is how it'd be cool. And I loved it. It was one of those mysteries. So maybe I'm glad that you liked that. All right.
Jay, is there anything that you want to talk about heading into season 2 that you're excited about, or that obviously we don't want to spoil too much, but anything that you can tell us to sort of pitch season 2?
Well, yes, and I think that's probably a good way to wrap, unless you guys want to stay here for
we can go for a couple more days.
Okay, we just keep going. You have an 8-hour limit with Hangout, so we just go.
We'll just start a new one at the end of the 8, and we'll send them a link. Then we go.
Yep, I don't even need to eat. Let's just do this.
I'll give you one of my cats.
Yeah. Oh, cats are
nutritious.
Well,
my audio feed just broke up. Ryan, did you just offer our distinguished guest a cat to eat?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That sounds like the bystander way to me.
Yeah.
That's the way of it right there. So I would say I'm really excited for season 2 for a number of reasons. For one, the story, it takes a completely different feel. The first one, no spoilers, but they're running most of the time. Like they fight and then they flee, and then they only really fight because they have to fight a lot of it, and which makes perfect sense. But you wouldn't really want to read a whole other season of that, and you don't have to. So they're going to be spending a lot of time, and I'll give you guys a little bit of a preview because this is not canon yet. And because you deserve it, because I love you all. I haven't sent this to Nimit yet. I just promised him I'd send it to him today. So, but I've drawn out a more intricate map of the Nanten, and you can see on it, I can't, but you can, their path here, where they started here and have run all over the place, and have finally ended up at the Great Recess here. And so the story is going to take place in here, so there's not going to be a whole lot of running. And I'm just really excited for the different look and feel of it, the introduction of some new characters, some of which would be spoilers, some of which wouldn't. One example of one that wouldn't be a spoiler is that Inifra is the High Priestess, but you have yet to meet her priestesses, and they are incredibly badass. So there are going to be a bunch more kick-ass women in the second season, which will be really good. There are going to be, there's going to be, obviously the podcast is huge, and then it's just going to be, a cluster of warring factions and a really big mess that he gets to walk right into as it all kind of hones itself and focuses towards the apex of the history of this epoch of the Nanten Kingdom. So I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be really fun. Nimit apparently has already really enjoyed the first 2 entries that he's read, so that's good. And I can't wait to see more of his artwork. I can't wait to hear Dennis's voice. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it, and I think it's going to be a blast. I'm going to have to go on heart medication ahead of time to make sure that I survive it, and hopefully we just have a really good time.
That sounds good. We want to thank Jay and Nimit and Jess and Rob, and thank you, Jeremy, for joining us as well, I guess. It was
all of our actors.
Oh yeah, Dennis. Dennis, he's gone now. I missed him.
I know.
But yeah, And anybody that's watching and big supporters of Into the Nanten, it's pretty awesome to kind of all share in this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think take like one last second to say a big, huge thank you to all the backers. You guys are making this next season possible, and we're so grateful.
Oh, I have one more thing I didn't tell you guys about.
I'm proud.
I actually have friends in Madagascar.
Congrats!
Right now. I have friends. Congratulations! Finally, before I turn 30, I finally have friends, and they happen to be in Madagascar right now, and they are going to film a little bit for us. So hopefully, we'll actually have a little bit of a jungle trailer to release here soon.
Cool.
That should be fun.
That's great.
Yeah. Anyways, that was my
I have
last little
friends
thing.
that live in Detroit. If you ever need that kind of jungle, let me know.
Concrete jungle.
Yes.
RoboCop.
Will do. I'll take a moment also just to say thank you. I mean, like, thank you to each of you. Thank you to both of you for hosting this. If any of you are into comic books, are into pop culture movies, like not pop culture as in like Lady Gaga so much, I don't think, but you know what I mean, like more towards the comic books, the Star Wars, like the good stuff, video games and all that. Like these guys have a podcast that you very well may enjoy, and I will definitely be linking to. I highly suggest you listen to it. Jessica, thank you so very much. There were 3 of you in this backer category. Only one of you actually joined us, and we are so grateful that you did. The other 2 we are still incredibly grateful to, and we wish they could have joined us, but they had, sadly, more fun things to do tonight, I think, than to listen to us. But we were really, really grateful for them, and we're really grateful for all of our Kickstarter backers at all levels. Like, we could not be doing this without you. And my stress levels are lower, and I will actually survive the next season because of you. So thank you. You saved my life. I appreciate that. Thank you to Rob for reading everything that I send his way and send your way, and for making it all better. And Nimit, thank you so much for bringing Marcellus's crazy awesome Photoshop skills to life. Without you, it would not be possible. And so you're a pure joy and a pleasure to work with, man. And I'm really glad that our friendship is developing and that we get to do this for at least 1 more year and hopefully 2 more years. So it's really exciting. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. And if you make sure, the September 9th is when Into the Nanten season 2 will start. So September 9th is when it'll start. Sign up for my newsletter if you want to get a reminder there. Just watch the space on Into the Nanten. And there will be some opportunities. If you really want to read it on your Kindle, we'll sell it cheap on Amazon, and we're actually going to make it available as a subscription on Amazon, hopefully, as well. That'll also be really cheap. But then if you want it for free, just follow it on intothenanten.com and use an RSS feed and whatever else you want. So September 9th, it's coming soon. Way too soon for Nimit and I, but not soon enough for the rest of you. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to bringing it to you guys. Thank you all for watching, for joining us, and for backing us. We really appreciate it.